Hey everybody, so I've got such a cool video for you today because typically when the manufacturers send us new vehicles to review, it's always a top spec with all the options and all the goodies and all the off-road capability features. But in today's video, we're taking the new Lexus GX 460 off-road, but not in the top spec. So this model does not have the air suspension. It does not have the off-road package with multi-terrain select and crawl control and all those goodies. So in this video, we're gonna find out how does a standard Lexus GX perform out in the dirt. Now, for those of you that don't know, the Lexus GX is a luxury SUV that happens to be one of the most respected off-roaders in the industry because underneath, it's a Toyota Land Cruiser Prado, which is sold around the world as one of the most capable vehicles you can buy. Now, of course, for the US, it's a Lexus, so it's got a lot of luxury features. It's got these big, fancy side steps on it. It's got that beautiful front end, but it still has the bones of a proper off-roader. And the cool thing about this model is the wheel and tire setup. So we're rolling on a set of 265/60 R18 wheels. So we actually have a pretty small wheel for 2022 in the luxury SUV world, and then we're rolling on a Bridgestone dueler tire in HT. It's not really a true crazy all-terrain, but it's a little bit more aggressive than some of its competition, and I'm excited to see how they do it out in the dirt. I want to give a quick shout out to our new auction site, TFLbids.com, where we're currently selling our Toyota FJ40, a really cool, albeit rough, surviving FJ. Check it out over at TFLbids.com. In this video, we're running the Onyx OffRoad Andre's Pit Course. And Onyx OffRoad is our go-to off-road navigation software. It integrates with Apple CarPlay, super great to use and never get lost out on the trail. And let me engage the off-road modes, and spoiler alert, there's not many. Now this vehicle is awesome because it still has a true low range. So it's got an actual transfer case. We're gonna engage it by pushing that little knob in and then twisting it. And then we have a downhill assist system there too, which is not gonna help us much up the hill. And then apart from that, you know, drive on the transmission selector and off we go. Now, as I mentioned, if we had the top trim, we'd have an air suspension control knob where we could raise the vehicle. We'd have a crawl control knob, which is Toyota Lexus's automated off-road driving system, which is incredible. We'd have a knob for multi-terrain select, so you do get a lot more kind of goodies in that package, but this model does not have it. This is going to be a more standard GX. Now, up first is Hole Street, and this is a set of off-camber holes that is a great test of ground clearance. Now we only have 8.1 inches in this vehicle, and we do have a nice chunky front skid plate, but what I'm worried about are these really large side steps. They kind of hang down. They are great for getting your grandma in and out of the passenger seat or the rear seat, but not really what you want out on a trail. But actually, we did have enough ground clearance to make it through holes. I recently tore the entire side off of a Forester through this section, so doing better than that. And yeah, really, really nice. Absolutely no concerns there. So we had enough ground clearance for holes. Now, if you wanted to give this vehicle more ground clearance, there are actually a ton of lift kits and accessories available for the GX that allow you to do so, but we test them, of course, straight out of the box. Next up is going to be logs, and logs are, they're actually telephone poles, but they're inset into the ground, and we're going to see how the ride quality is. Now, this Lexus is decidedly old school by 2022 standards, so we have a solid rear axle, but an independent front suspension, and then a body on frame construction. We're going to try to take this at a nice continuous rate and see how the suspension quality feels, and I'm going to tell you immediately, feels very good. In some ways, I think this feels better than the air suspension, because in the air suspension, when you go into the upper heights, you kind of start topping out the travel, but with the coil, look at that. Absolutely fantastic. Wow, that is the most comfortable I think I've ever taken that little challenge, and we just walked up. Now, this challenge is a real difficult course for like a crossover, like a RAV4 even. So recently I took a TRD off-road RAV4 through this area and it really, really struggled. But in the GX, we're just walking through all of it. It's incredible how much capability even a standard, relatively run-of-the-mill GX Lexus has. Now, we do not have the full 360-degree camera, so the top spec model will have this cool little trail cam where you can see where your tires are positioned. We do not have that option in this model, so I'm going to have to go off of kind of feeling And we've got some pretty large rocks here, which look very easy to bash into the front end of this rig. So we're gonna be a little bit careful about that, but do the best we can to kind of get it up this course. Man, this ride quality is so good. This V8 4.6 liter, kind of old. It's kind of, you know, unsophisticated by modern standards, but it is a good one. It's just a solid offering with a lot of low end torque, super smooth, incredibly refined too. Something that people don't give this engine enough credit for. And whisper quiet. If you want the ultimate in silent operation, you got to consider the 4.6. Now we made it up the easy side of holes, rocks, excuse me, no problem. I say we give the hard side a go. We did tap out a Bronco Sport pretty recently through this section. Like I said, you really got to be careful of those side skirts. Actually, these tires seem to be handling really well. Quite impressed. Even though it's not a super aggressive all-terrain design, they're gripping nicely. Oh, seatbelt's locked, so I can't see how close I am to touching the side. That's when the camera system would be good. So far, so good, though. It's handling it beautifully. I just crested the top and didn't touch anything, even with a relatively small amount of clearance. The capability of this vehicle just shows like crazy. So next up is going to be trenches, and these are these off-cut dips in the soil. We're going to get the vehicle on two wheels. Now this is really where I'm curious to see how this four-wheel drive system performs, because crawl control gets us through this no problem every single time. Every time it engages, it's quick, it's rapid to use. The only other piece of tech we can engage as we go through here is going to be the center differential lock. So I'm going to click that on now, and we'll give the Lexus every chance to kind of thrive through here. There we go. You got a little bit of a click. So we got low range, center diff lock on, and let's see what happens. I'm going to take it at a hard angle here, right through the middle of the course. Diving in, so the left side is now fully into the trenches, and we're going to take this slow on purpose. Wow, very decent articulation now, and a lot of independent suspension vehicles will have the two opposite tires well into the air, but not in the GX. That was awesome, but it's going to get a little harder here. So I'm going to stop on purpose. We got some wheel spin. Doesn't matter. I mean, the way that the traction control engaged there feels very similar to crawl control. A little bit of accelerator. Look at that. Look at that, guys. That is just unreal. So impressed with that. Here we go. This is going to be the ultimate challenge, putting it up the hill. Just a little bit of accelerator. All right. So I wasn't planning on going through anything harder in this vehicle because of all the low-hanging plastic, but I feel like I'm doing you guys an injustice by not. So we're going to go do a little bit exploring in the fish pond course. Now, there's parts of it which are going to be too hard, like Nathan's crack. We would run out of approach angle and really slam that plastic into the dirt, but I think we can explore some of the backside and do it with relative safety.
Now the Lexus GX 460 is decidedly old school, and fans of this vehicle love that. So under the hood, you'll find a 4.6 liter V8 naturally aspirated, no turbocharging, no supercharging, no fancy hybrid systems. This is a very, very reliable powertrain, but also very thirsty. The EPA rates this at just 16 mpg combined, 301 horsepower, right around 330 foot-pounds of torque. For 2022, Lexus has introduced a new Blackline Special Edition, which is what this vehicle has. It's got some cool blacked out goodies on the exterior as well on the inside. Now the GX starts at about $55,000. That Blackline is going to add over $3K, and it's got a couple other little odds and ends like these crossbars and the headlight washers, but as equipped, $61,000, which is a lot of money. But when you consider that a luxury GX 460 with the off-road package is well over $70K, it's not unreasonable.
All right, so we got this steep, gnarly hill climb. We're like probably 25 degrees up, and it's kind of loose and a little bit unpredictable as to how the vehicle is going to perform here. But hopefully we get a good sense of some of the capability of the Lexus GX. Wow. really pointing it steep. Okay, so we got some wheels off the soil there. I'm gonna take it nice and easy. You can feel those duelers kind of struggling for grip here. And I'm gonna stop and we'll see if we have the torque to get going again. So complete stop on the accelerator. Beautiful, beautiful linear acceleration curve in this vehicle. You know, the GX gets a lot of hate because it is an aging platform, but I think it's aging gracefully, and it just goes to show that it'll do everything the new fancy SUVs will. Ooh, I said that a little too soon maybe. We're really getting hung up there. So we did get a little hung up there, but a little bit of accelerator and we pulled ourselves through. Yeah, this platform just goes to show how technology is cool, but it's really traditional hardware that matters. Solid drivetrain components, a solid rear axle, some decent clearance, and an amazing four-wheel drive system. That's what's more important than fancy switches and different modes. Visibility is a little tricky and we don't have that front camera, so I'm being a little ginger with it on the descent here. We do have some relatively big pointy rocks, which are probably going to want to get hung up on the undercarriage. But so far so good. Oop, yeah, you feel that? That was hard on the underside there. But we do have a skid plate in the front. Not really one in the rear though, so I want to be careful about that fuel tank. It's taking it nice and easy. Absolutely incredible. I forgot to use the downhill assist, but that's how it works. You can just basically let off and it'll control your speed. I prefer not to use it on the way down, but it is there as an option if you would like a little bit of extra peace of mind.
One of the great things about the GX is it's an insanely customizable platform. Even though it's a Lexus, even though it's got all sorts of luxury odds and ends on it, it is still capable and ready to hit the trail with a little bit of modification. Now, unfortunately, stuff like these side steps at low front end do limit some of this vehicle's capability, but throw on a set of bumpers, a set of sliders, and this thing will go anywhere you want to point it. Plus, the cool thing about this model is it doesn't have the air suspension, so if you go to lift it, you don't have to deal with that additional step. Now, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. As always, it's been Tommy with TFL. We'll see you on the next episode.